Hi, welcome to the Transform You Live show, the only show where you can make real life and business transformation, harnessing the power of optimism, hope, and faith. Today, we got a wonderful show for you today. I am broadcasting home from you today. So I do hope for you guys to, stay tuned in for a wonderful show. I'm going to give you guys the countdown, and then I'm going to give you guys our typical intro video. We did start a bit late here today, so we do got a special guest that's representing BreezyScroll. Um, so he's going to tell us much more about BreezyScroll in just a second here, as we prepare to get rolling here. Um, while you are joining the live stream, I do ask that you do share the live stream with someone you know, someone you don't know, as it does help to further the messaging that you will be hearing here today. With that being said, let's get rolling. Okay, so here's a little intro to our guest. Started in April of 2021, BreezyScroll aims to provide content that is useful, topical, and most importantly, that can be consumed at leisure or when you're on break. The idea is to provide timeless content triggered by any trending topic, which can be useful in daily life or can be used during drawing room discussions. In the course of 1 year, BreezyScroll has grown exponentially and today is one of the fastest growing news media companies in the United States. Before starting BreezyScroll, um, the the founder and CEO, Mr. Singh, he uh, worked in the media industry for over half a decade, and before that, he had a tech startup that helped politicians in devising their election campaigns scientifically. So, without further ado, we're going to begin the programming. Hey, how's it going, Mr. Singh?
Hi, Marcus. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you.
Yeah. The audience got a chance to hear me, kind of briefly, introduce the Reese Scroll company, and also, give you a short, brief introduction. But in your own words, tell us, a bit of an introduction and a bit of background from your own world.
Right, right. So, so BreezyScroll is a content company, is a media company, and we aim to provide content which can add to curiosity quotient and entertainment value of our users. So basically, during the pandemic, during the peak lockdown last year, what we felt that there's a huge gap which needs to be filled in the content and media industry. So people were overloaded with all kind of content, from TikToks to reels to articles to videos about stuff. And people were getting depressed just by reading or consuming a content piece. So that's when we felt that there's a huge gap which needs to be filled. There needs to be a content company which can inform and entertain at the same time. And that's when Breezy Scroll was formulated and got into the picture. So our aim is to entertain, inform, and satisfy the curiosity quotient of our users. So that is what Breezy Scroll is all about.
So it sounds like you guys are bringing a very unique experience into what is seems like is missing. So tell us a little bit about that unique experience that those who get introduced to Reese Scroll for the first time.
Right, right. So as I said, that there are very few platforms on the internet which currently provide both knowledge and entertainment at the same time around the global topical events for free, and that's what we do. You come on Breezy Scroll, you'll find all sort of content which is from from health, sports. Uh, cryptocurrency, NFTs, lifestyle, every kind of content on Breezy Scroll that is not only informative but also entertaining. So the whole aim is that you can read the content, when you're on a break, or when you want to free your mind from all kind of outside noise, and at the same time you get informed. So that is what Breezy Scroll is. And our platform primarily aims to educate our audience around the topics and events which are topical and which they should have heard about. And for example, I'll give you an example what we do, uh, why our content is unique. So suppose the Russia-Ukraine crisis is going on, and people are flooded with all kind of content, which is also depressing in nature, like people dying, people running for shelters, and all those stuff. At the same time, we produce content around that thing, which is, we try to bring out happy stories, inspiring stories from that situation, and we try to cover those kind of stories as well. We try to be uncluttered, unbiased, and a fun news portal to read.
It seems like you guys are like one of the top digital websites in the U.S. right now, and especially covering like global stories like that. That's really a touchy story, and it's really gain a lot of traction in popularity. So in the span of over a year, you guys have really had some growth. Tell us a little bit about that, more about that growth. We would love to hear more about that.
Right, right. So at Breezy School, we aim to produce content, multimedia content, all sort of content, be it articles, infographics, videos, all sort of content on a frequent basis on a trending topics, and update our platform to keep our audience engaged. So there's an in-depth use and understanding of global user behavior data, demographic profiles, and interest, to provide the content which adds value to the user. So we invest a lot in data and technology to constantly provide content which adds value, so to our user. For that, we use all sort of analytics tool, and we go through all sort of data, that on which article, on which kind of content we are getting more traffic, we are getting more engagement, and then we try to generate those kind of content for particular set of users. And that is why we have one of the highest user retention in the industry. Our user come back on a frequent basis because we are providing content to them which is adding value, and at the same time, giving them information. So our user retention is massive, and that is why, and that is one of the major reason of a growth in such a short span.
Outstanding. So like it seems like you guys got like big plans and big goals ahead for the future, and possibly some expansion. Like, so is there any like possible hopes for expansion, like further out from what you're doing, or is there any hopes of some other goals outside of what you're currently doing?
Right. So, right now we are one of the fastest growing media companies in the US. So first aim is to capture the US market as a whole, and become probably number one in the US, and then expand to other market, other geographies, the global markets, such as we have already started making footprints in Canada, Australia, UK, and other countries. So the next goal is to expand in other countries, and at the same time, you know expand our avenues, and that could, we are also investing and looking into artificial intelligence to produce content, so that will help us to expand more fastly and more rapidly. So that is the goal moving ahead.
Yeah, tell us more about the use of artificial intelligence. I think that is really cutting edge and really futuristic. Like as that is the now right now. I think that's something that many more companies are going to be turning to as like we move towards this turn of the century, and as um, the especially with the media, the
Right.
turnover media is so rapid. So Explain, elaborate a little bit more about the use of AI and incorporate that into what you do.
Right. So, by artificial intelligence, there are two major avenues which we are looking at to use the artificial intelligence. First one is content production, and second one is to diversify your revenue streams. So, I'm coming to content production first. So by using artificial intelligence, we are trying to create a content engine. We are trying to create a content engine which can produce multilingual content at the same time. So if example, if we are writing a content in English, writing an article in English, our AI software would able to translate the same content without any human intervention in multiple languages like Spanish, maybe other European languages, and we can distribute the same content at the same time without any human intervention. So that will help us to expand in multiple countries and with multiple languages. So this is one use of artificial intelligence. And second use of artificial intelligence, what we are looking at is a bit futuristic. So I strongly believe that in media or in the content industry, we only monetize a very small fraction of value we create for our users. Right. So I'll give you an example. We did an article a few months back. We did an article on how running daily will keep you healthy and all, something about running, that why running is beneficial for your health. And after publishing that article, a few days later, I got a email by a 22 years old college going student, and he said that this article has really inspired me to start running. And he's already seeing the benefits of running. He's loving it and all those kind of stuff. So now what happens when he started running? Now he'll go and maybe probably buy a Nike shoe, a Adidas jogger, or maybe buy a pre-workout, post-workout drinks, protein, all those stuff. So while Breezy Scroll inspired him to start running, all the transaction is whatever is happening is going to companies like Adidas and Nike, or other companies which are into health segment. So while we created the value here for the user, we didn't make any money from the user. So if the content companies would start to make money, as much as value they create, they will be much more valuable than they are today. And with artificial intelligence, we are trying to solve this major problem, and we would like to be the industry torchbearer, the content industry, media industry torchbearer in this field, to figure it out how to monetize the user, how to be part of the transactional chain. And that's what we are trying to do. And I think with technology and product innovations nowadays, it is very much possible in next few years.
I think that's brilliant, and like I'm very impressed, and I'm pretty sure that people who's listening to this and those who's going to be watching this is very impressed as well, and it really speaks to like the future outlet of the type of the diverse content that you guys are looking to put out, and it really shows the narrative that like you guys are not just like a one trick pony, and that you're not just putting out just like news stories that like are clickbaity. You're really looking to add value. Maybe as we rally towards the conclusion of this particular interview, maybe like tell us a little bit more of the type of content that we can expect in your guys' archive, and more of like how your business model is going to look like in the future.
Sure. So at Breezy School, we provide all sort of content from various categories, be it sports, health, entertainment, and we try to give the unique, any kind of unique information which is there, which is not out there at many. You would say media platforms. So we try to, as I said, as I have repeatedly said, that we try to add value. We try to satisfy the curiosity quotient of our readers. So suppose we always try to create content which you would go, by hearing a topic, you would go and search in Google. So if you hear a topic, say Putin. So you'll go whatever you can search there on Google related to Putin or Russia, Ukraine, or NFL, whatever. We try to create those content which can add to your curiosity quotient, which can satisfy the curiosity quotient. So in future we are going to heavily invest in videos, and because short videos, as we expect, is the future of the content. So I'll definitely want to try that. And other thing, we will be adding categories, we'll be adding more topics, and we'll so the major thing here is we just keep your heads down, keep on creating content, and create a profitable flywheel, which will help us to expand in future, and we'll probably go multilingual and multi geographies in future.
Brilliant. I love you guys' energy. I love what you're bringing, and like I'm very excited for what you guys got up the pipeline here. Thank you so much for joining us. Maybe tell us how we can get in touch with you, how we can stay connected with BreezyScroll and all that you guys is offering, and maybe give us some
For sure,
social
you
media
can
plugs
always
too.
Sure, you can always check BreezyScroll. We are on all the major social media platforms, say Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can just go there and search BreezyScroll. It's BREEZYSCROLL, and just go and check out the website. You can leave your feedbacks there in the contact form at the bottom of the website. And if you want to reach out to me personally, you can reach out to me at nikhil@breezyscroll.com. So that is my email ID. I would wait for your feedbacks and your mails.
All right. Well, you have heard it here. We has had like the CEO and founder of Breezy Scroll. Make sure you guys get those plugs, breezyscroll.com. We do have that in the episode description. You be able to find that in the playback at any podcast app and on YouTube exclusively at Transform You Live Show and on our Transform You Media Network website as well. You'll be able to find that there too. And you'll find this in rotation, heavy rotation on our radio station as well. So don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this with someone you know, someone you don't know, as it does help to further the message. I'm your host, Marcus Hart. Until next time, many blessings, peace, and lots of love.